It's time for a Wellness Revolution. Brought to you by Hotze Health and Wellness Center. Honest discussion on maintaining health and wellness naturally to enjoy a better quality of life.
He's the doctor fighting to let you keep your doctorate.
Now, Dr. Stephen Hotze. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast is brought to you by Physicians Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy.
Welcome to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I'm Stacey Banfield here with Dr. Stephen Hotze, founder and CEO of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. And if you have not downloaded our podcasts yet, we always have good new content. So please check out hotzepodcast.com. That's Hotze podcast.com. Well, one of my friends, and I'm so happy that she's able to come on the program today, is Dixie Willingham. She is here to share her health success story. Enjoy.
Thank you, Stacey, and thank each one of you for joining us today on my Wellness Revolution, Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I believe that everyone needs to have a doctor and a staff of professionals who can coach them on a path of health and wellness naturally, so that as you mature, you got energy, you got vitality, and you have enthusiasm for life. That's important, without using a bunch of pharmaceutical drugs. So that's what we recommend here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. And I want to introduce you to one of our longtime guests, an ambassador for our practice, Dixie Willingham. Dixie's been a guest at least since 2001, around in May. I saw her initially back then, so that's been over 19 years. And so we're so glad to have you here with us, Dixie.
Thank you.
So, Dixie, tell us about what was going on. You were, at that time, you would have been, what, in your late 30s?
I was about 40.
And so what was going on health-wise in your life at that time?
Well, about 38, I said I started having some weird things happen. Of course, I had the heavy periods, and I started getting urinary tract infections and, just weird things happening. And I would go to doctors, and they would just offer me pills. And so I took them and thinking I was going to get better, and it just got worse. And then I decided to have a tubal ligation. And that made it way worse. And kind of went downhill from there. And
started having symptoms of what? Menopause?
Yes, totally. Period stopped. Came to a screeching halt about 41.
Now this is an interesting point. When women have tubal ligation, they often will get post-tubal ligation syndrome, which occurs in about 2 years. When you have a tubal ligation, you're tying off the tube. There's a artery that runs from the uterus to the ovary, and it's ligated. It's tied off, and that cuts down on the blood supply, and it's not at all uncommon for women after they've had tubal ligation to begin to experience poor hormonal imbalance, and they begin to have symptoms of early menopause, which you did.
Yes, I did.
And what'd your OB-GYN tell you about that?
He told me I was too young for menopause, to go home and get some rest and relax and just take it easy, and you're going to be fine, and patted me on the back. And I burst into tears, and he just walked out and left me.
And then what happened?
Well, then I started having horrible panic attacks. I had horrible pain in my wrists and my ankles and my hips. It was awful. And I was a music teacher, and my voice was going. I was losing my voice. My throat hurt all the time, and I was having hot flashes and night sweats, and I wanted to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. And my mom finally said, "Come on, I'm going to bring you to Houston, and I want you to see a nurse practitioner that I like." And so she went. And she went with me and took me. And the first thing the nurse practitioner did was reach up, and she touched my throat. And she said, your thyroid's enlarged. And I said, what? And she said, yes, your thyroid's enlarged. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And she said, well, it could be cancer. And I was, that scared me, of course. And she said, you need to see an endocrinologist. So she sent me to an endocrinologist. And that's another thing. She said, endocrinologists come a dime a dozen. And so she made sure I went to a good one, and I did like him. He was a good guy. And he did 3 different biopsies over a period of about 6 to 8 weeks, and every one came back inconclusive for cancer. And so he sent me to a head and neck surgeon, and they removed most of my thyroid. It wasn't cancer, but it was entangled and grown because I was having issues with breathing and heart palpitations and swallowing, and it was so grown around all of my windpipe and my throat. And it had damaged a nerve to my vocal cords, and that's why I was having the throat pain and I couldn't sing anymore. So anyway, he took it out, and I felt better, for a good while there. He gave me some Synthroid, and I felt pretty good. I was sleeping, but then I got gaining weight, hair falling out, and all I wanted to do was sleep after that. And so my sister, she's been a patient here for probably a little bit longer than me, Susan Peterson, and she said, we're going to see Dr. Hotze. And so here I am, almost 20 years later. And my mom's even a patient. She's 82, and she's a patient here too.
Yeah. Well, so when you came in, I know we did some blood work on you and found out that you had Hashimotos Thyroiditis, which is autoimmune thyroiditis. This is when you make antibodies to your own thyroid gland. And so that was one of the reasons that you were having the problem with your thyroid in developing what we would call a goiter.
Right.
You developed a goiter because you had antibodies that were blocking your thyroid gland and attacking it. And your thyroid gland was trying to produce more thyroid hormone because it was being blocked by the antibodies, and so it was getting bigger and bigger. And that's what caused you to end up needing the surgery. And then they had put you on Synthroid at that time. And Synthroid is T4. It's not the active thyroid hormone. This is commonly used by endocrinologists and conventional doctors. They use Synthroid or Levothyroid or levothyroxine, which is T4. And the T stands for thyroid, 4 stands for the number of iodine atoms on the thyroid. So if you think of the back of my hand as being the thyroid hormone, and you think of my 4 fingers being iodine atoms, that's T4. It's inactive. It's the inactive thyroid hormone. That inactive thyroid hormone has to enter the cells. In the cells, there is an enzyme, a deiodinase enzyme. It deiodinates one of the iodine atoms off the thyroid, so you have T3. That's the active thyroid hormone. So while you may have had abnormal levels of thyroid in your blood, low obviously did, that's why they put you on the Synthroid, and that would normalize your blood level, it's still got to get into your cells and be converted to T3. And the only way you can tell whether it's in the cells properly is listen to the individual patient or guest, as we call them, see what their symptoms are. And so when you came in, if you can remember that far back, on a scale of 0 to 10, what was your overall energy level?
Oh, probably a 2.
Okay. So and thyroid is what enables the cells to produce energy in the power plants, the mitochondria. That's the catalyst. That's the spark plug of the cells, the thyroid hormone, the T3 thyroid hormone. It's what enables the cells to produce and use energy. So if you've got a low energy level, that's indicative that you've got low energy production within your cell, which most commonly reflects on low thyroid in the cell. Now, were you having any difficulty with weight?
Yes, I gained weight.
Okay. How was your mental sharpness and focus at that time?
Not very good, because I'm teaching school, and when you can't recall a child's name that you've taught for the last 5 years, it's not good.
Right. And how was your sleep?
Before this, all I wanted to do was sleep.
Tired all the time?
I was tired all the time.
And after you slept, you still felt tired?
I was still tired. I drugged myself around.
And you were having joint and muscle aches and pains?
Oh, yes. Very much so, yes.
So, and then, of course, you had already had the tubal ligation at that time, hadn't it? So you were experiencing the problems with your female or imbalance and decline in your female hormones. So you had all those symptoms. So what I did at that point is I put Dixie on some natural desiccated thyroid hormone, the natural hormone, which contains T3 and T4 at a level that she was able to tolerate and build up until we got. And how much, how much you're taking right now?
165.
Okay. So she's on over almost 3 grains of desiccated thyroid, and you've been on that for
a while. Yeah.
Almost what? How many years? Most of the
years.
19 years, 18 or 19 years. And then we also put you on some natural female hormones, some Biest and natural progesterone. We also recommended some vitamin and mineral supplementation and a good, healthy, yeast-free eating program. So if you go back and recall, after we got you started on the program, how long did it take you to begin to feel any improvement?
Oh, goodness. I probably I know within a month, if not just a week or so, I could probably tell I was sleeping better. The hot flashes had kind of calmed down.
Right.
And I just, I felt normal. I started feeling normal.
And so, how have you done over the last 18 years?
Oh, great. It's amazing. I said, I'm fixing to be 62 years old and in next month, and I feel better than I did when I was 38.
That's tremendous. And by the way, at 62, enjoy your youth while you have it, young lady. Listen, we have this last month in our newsletter, which is titled Hotze on Wellness. Dixie wrote an article about her health. And so if you'd like to get a copy of this, just contact our office at 281-698-8698. We'll send you a copy of the newsletter. You can receive it on a monthly basis. We put that out every month. And you can read stories about other individuals like Dixie who have had real health successes. And this is what I believe that's so very important, is that the problems that individuals have as they march into their midlife often comes from a decline in their natural occurring hormones, both their sex hormones, their adrenal hormones, and their thyroid hormones. And this is particularly common in women. So what you presented with is very common. And you were a young woman at that time. Mm-hmm. And so it really starts hitting women once they have had a few children, they get into their mid-30s, early 40s, these problems begin to develop. And unfortunately, the conventional doctors will usually put you on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, sleep medication. They'll put you on birth control pills if your cycles are out of whack, and anti-inflammatory drugs. Next thing you know, and then you've gained weight, and you might be on something for diabetes, and you're on blood pressure medication. Next thing you know, you're on 6 or 8 different medications, and you feel worse. You're toxic because of all these medications. What you need to do is clean up the eating. That's so critical, because let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Second thing, replenish your hormones and balance the hormones out with natural bioidentical hormones, which we compound here at the Hotze, at our Physician's Preference Pharmacy International, which used to be called Hotze Pharmacy. And then we also recommend vitamins and minerals to help your body detox. And all the goal of the program is to help your power plants within your cells, called the mitochondria, produce more energy. You and I and everybody produces electrical energy within our cells, and that electrical energy is produced by the mitochondria, M-I-T-O, mitochondria. They're power plants, and they take the nutrients, they take the hormones and the vitamins and minerals and produce electrical energy, which is then carried to the biochemical processes, and that's what enables our cells to function. If we're low energy, low voltage, we have low energy, we don't feel well. We get depressed, we don't have good moods, we can't sleep well. Women will have irregular menstrual cycles, you may have difficulty with weight, low energy, loss of romantic moods and inclination. All these things go down when you have low energy production. So the whole goal of our program is to help each individual produce adequate amounts of energy so that they're live wires again. And you are now.
That's right.
So you're active, and you're singing in the church, playing the piano.
I play at 2 churches every Sunday morning.
Do you really?
I do.
That's tremendous.
Yeah. And I've been doing it for a while now. I enjoy it.
Well, Dixie, this is just a great story, and I know that many of the listening audience are going to be encouraged by it, and to know that you can get yourself on a path of health and wellness naturally, just like Dixie did. So don't hesitate to give us a call. We'd like to have the opportunity and privilege of serving you as well. Thank you for joining us today.
A special thanks to Physician's Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy, proud sponsor of Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast.
Information provided on this radio program is neither intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, and is not intended to replace the services of a physician, nor does it constitute a doctor-patient relationship. You should not use information from this radio program to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting with a qualified healthcare provider. If you have or suspect you have an urgent medical problem, promptly contact a professional healthcare provider or call 911. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution radio program advises you to always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider prior to starting any new treatment or with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Any application of the recommendations from this radio program is at the listener's discretion.